What's going on, field techs, and welcome back to the channel. We are in the New Bedford Training Center, and today we are joined by the Ariston NUOS, the newest hybrid heat pump water heater high efficiency offering from Ariston. But what is this piece of alien technology and how does it work? We're going to go over that today on Tech Tips. So let's take a minute to talk about heat pump water heaters. I think a lot of technicians get nervous initially when they hear about putting in a heat pump water heater because they're not familiar with refrigeration or air conditioners or anything like that. So today we're going to go over a little bit of how this unit works because it's a lot more simple than you might think. The entire process is going to start right here in the head unit at the compressor. Let's pop into an infographic and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So the entire refrigeration process is going to start up top here at the compressor. We do have cool gas coming back from the evaporator, but we'll get to that at the end. We're going to start at the compressor, and basically this is the engine of the system. What we're doing is we're taking that refrigerant and we're squishing those molecules down. There's a correlation between temperature and pressure, so anytime we're squeezing those molecules together, we're actually making the gas hot. So the compressor is going to take that cool gas, compress it, up the pressure, and in doing so, increase the temperature. We're then going to send it down the line actually to what we call a condenser, which is a coil wrapped around the tank. The condenser you're used to seeing is probably the one outside your house on an air conditioner, and if you put your hand over the fan, you'll feel hot air coming out of that, because what we're doing is we're creating a phase change in the refrigerant. So we're actually taking that super hot gas and we're subcooling it into a super hot liquid. So the reason we're able to change it from a gas into a liquid and create that phase change is because the water inside the tank is actually, just through radiation, going to absorb the heat of that refrigerant in the tubes and heat the water. That's why it's a heat pump water heater. So now we've changed that hot gas now into a hot liquid by absorbing that heat into the water and creating a phase change. And then we can send it down to what we call the metering device. Now the metering device is a lot like, I would say, a Windex bottle. So if you've ever seen a Windex bottle, when you squeeze it, there's a liquid inside the bottle, you squeeze it, and then you get this kind of mist that comes out of it. We're doing the same thing to the refrigerant, and in doing so, dropping the pressure greatly. So we push all that compressed liquid through this Windex bottle, this metering device, and drop the temperature and create this mist. When we have that massive drop, we're creating another change from a liquid now into what we call a saturated vapor. That saturated vapor is very, very, very cold because we've dropped that temperature drastically. Now we need to change that saturated vapor back into a gas because the compressor is unable to compress liquid. It can only compress gas. So we take that saturated vapor and send it up to an evaporator. An evaporator is the same thing that you would see on top of your furnace in your house. Basically what everyone calls the air conditioner. That is just a coil that is going to take the room temperature air, or if you've got it piped to the outside, whatever the case may be, and run that warm air over this very, very cold coil, and that's going to literally evaporate, boil off the refrigerant, and now you've got a cold gas. And that cold gas is going to go right back to the compressor and start the process all over again. This is why when you have one of these in your home, if you put your hand in front of the fan as it's blowing, you're going to feel cold air coming out of the heat pump water heater. Now you may be worried that this all sounds like it's going to make a lot of noise, but I'm standing right next to the unit right now with my microphone, and as you can tell, you can barely hear this thing running. You might also be worried, I don't know how to work on compressors, I don't have gauges for refrigeration, anything like that. Well, the good news is this is covered by an industry-leading 10-year warranty on both parts and tank, giving you a worry-free experience. On top of all of that, there's built-in en-suite Wi-Fi, and you can control everything from a tap on your phone. And that, my friends, is the Ariston NUOS. If you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to give us a call. We've got a dedicated heat pump water heater line in our tech support department, and they'll be happy to help you with any questions you have. Thanks a lot.